I grew up in a Catholic grade school and high school. I grew up across the street from the church, actually. And I think when it became real was when a guy that I went to grade school and high school got cancer when we were juniors in high school. The first week of the month he would go for treatment, he'd get chemotherapy and he'd get radiation, and he would be sick a week and a half. The first week and a half of every month he was out. So he'd be going to school the rest of the month. So maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, and be out 1.5 weeks. And when somebody's 17, 18 years old is fighting for their life, you kind of look at life differently. And so I got to know him. I went to school with him for 11 years, but I didn't get to know him until he got sick. And I would ask him things like, how do you do it? You're going to get sick. And he would tell me when I'd play REO Speedwagon songs. Only the strong survive and roll with the changes. And then that was how he got himself psyched up. And so it was through my interaction with him, I think that Jesus became real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of a little bit off of that story too. He was sick all through our senior year, and then in the summer he got sick and his cancer got to his brain, and it was about July 5th or 6th of this summer, and they told him he wasn't going to live. And that afternoon he called the parish, and one of the priests came over and spent the afternoon with him. His father was an alcoholic and wasn't very helpful, and so he called the priest, and that priest spent the whole afternoon with him, and they talked, and he was really grateful. And he was a priest that actually not a lot of people liked or felt very good about. So it was a moment of seeing a different side of him than a lot of people saw. And then my grandmother lived with us, and I took care of her for about 5 years. And so they both died within about 2 months of each other. So dealing with their situations through my freshman year of college, that's when I started thinking about being a priest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't before. It was way far away, and folks wouldn't have given good money on me when I was a freshman either. There's a lot of them, but the one that, we'll keep going back to this situation, I think, because it's my first one. And when Don got sick, we, went through the year, and when it got to be about March, April, I realized he wasn't going to college. Because I asked him, I said, where are you going to college? He says, I can't go to college because I've got chemo through October. Smartest kid in our class. He could have gone to MIT. That's where he really wanted to go. And his father worked for Motorola, a very good scientific brain. And so when I found out he wasn't going to college, I thought, whoa, what are we going to do? We're all going off to college. And so a buddy of mine and I got together, and we thought, let's get him a computer. This was 1981 when the first personal computers were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought, there's a Radio Shack made a computer that costs $500. If we can raise $500, we're going to get him a computer. And we're going to give him this computer as part of an award that we know he's going to get as the most outstanding character individual in our class. He was a shoo-in. It wasn't even worth voting that year. So we started out, and I put $100 in, he put $100 in. We talked to 15 people, and each one put $100 in. And then this principal gave us $200. And the Booster Club gave us we had $2,000. And so we bought him an Apple IIc, which was the top of the line personal computer at that time. And we gave it to him at part of our awards assembly. And there were only 15 people that knew about it, which in a small high school is kind of a miracle. So he got the award, and the principal did what we asked him to do. He said, your friends wanted you to have this computer as a symbol of their, how you've inspired them. And so he got a standing ovation. He was thrilled, and nobody knew who gave it to him except for my buddy Mark and I. And I think when I turned to him and we shook hands at that moment, we knew that God had done something. It wasn't about us. It was, this thing became bigger than us. And that was probably our first moment. That was, that God was real and was working, and we were just we were just instruments. When I was a kid, my father's business had $100,000 stolen from it. His partner kept 2 books, and $100,000 in 1970 was 3 times the value of our home. And so we were in a 3-year process of trying to sue to get that money back. And in the process, my mother had a lot of mental struggles. In those days, they just gave people Valium. And my father drank alcoholically. And so that moment shaped basically our family life. But over the course of time, after, looking at that and dealing with that, I got myself into Al-Anon, and then that helped a lot to understand what happened in our family. And then we intervened on him at the age of 67, and he stopped drinking at the age of 67. And so, that was probably the hurt that took the longest to heal. So it was basically my grade school, high school, college period, and then when I was in seminary, we did that. And so, he died sober, and that was a blessing. But it was a hurt that impacted our family life for a good part of, pretty much all of our family life. I think one of my biggest joys, there's a few of them. I think the one that I enjoy that isn't necessarily Holy Apostles, but we're part of it, is when we do the St. Baldrick shave, because that's a community thing. That's the most spiritual day, I think, in the city of McHenry, because we're all there together, and we all do this thing together, and you see the beauty of people's faces after they get shaved. And you realize how beautiful they are, because we spend all kinds of time on our hair. Well, some of us do. And so I think that's a big day. Another time that I really like is at Thanksgiving time, the weekend before Thanksgiving. All 3 parishes in McHenry and the one in Johnsburg, we get together and we make holiday baskets, maybe 400 of them. And there's probably 300 people there to do that. And so it's nice to see all of our parishes working together. It was the day that we had Tom Lau's funeral, and all 3 priests were on the altar together. And our whole community of McHenry was there for that, because it was the mayor's husband. So those moments that we're all together, not just our parish, but our McHenry Catholic community. And, I think, when you did the Let's Feed Our Starving Children to try to get all of our parishes together, for me, that's a dream, to see all of us get together and not worry.
When you
so
say
much.
together, you're not talking just about Catholic, but
No, I mean all of our
Christian communities.
All of our Christian communities. That's what's so great about Baldrick's, is there's nothing about religion involved in that, but that's a very spiritual day, because we're trying to help kids who are living or have died with cancer. Every time I see that little boy Jackson who died of cancer, his grandfather, at that event, that boy's alive. He's, because of his inspiration, McHenry's raised, I don't know how much now, well over $1 million.
Yeah.
So, but that's part of it. But the other part of it is we all get together. People of every age can do it. We have a 4-year-old, we had an 86-year-old do it. And you see people from all different walks of life. I wish we could get more churches involved in it because it's such a good spiritual event. But we do it because it's important, and cancer's always been an important part of my life. So. You know, I did my best. I screwed up a lot. I wasn't perfect, but I did my best to try to help who needed to be helped.